You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Hello, I am your Superintendent, Jason Manuel.
And I am co-host Mason Grace, Communications Coordinator for the Germantown Municipal School District. Thank you for joining us for this week's Spotlight on Excellence.
Today we will get an update on what's happening with new elementary school site selection. And we will visit with a 5th grade teacher to hear how her class is researching ways to decrease noise in the school cafeteria.
But first, we would like to meet a Riverdale student who is a natural leader. We welcome to the show 8th grader and student body president, Sophie Mannis.
Thanks for being here, Sophie.
Of course.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience at Riverdale Elementary School. This was not the only school that you've attended, correct?
Correct.
Where was your first elementary school experience?
Well, I'm originally from Los Angeles, and when I was in the 5th grade, we moved to Memphis, where I first came to Riverdale. So I've been here ever since, and now I'm in 8th grade, and I've really enjoyed the experience of being at Riverdale.
I would guess that coming from Los Angeles, there's a big difference between school in a big city like that versus in Memphis.
They move much slower there, right?
So what were some of the differences between the school that you were at and Riverdale?
Well, I do remember first coming here, I was behind because Riverdale is so, I feel like I learned more here, and there was kind of harder to keep up, but it is slower being here in the big city like you were saying, so it's definitely a huge difference coming from a huge city, and although this isn't the smallest city ever, it's still a huge difference to me.
Well, was it a K-8 school at the school that you were at, or was it strictly an elementary school? Do you remember?
It was just an elementary school, K through 5 only. So very different being in 8th grade now, still being with kindergartners.
Well, it seems like you fit right in, considering you are now the class president. Is that right?
Yes, I am the class president, the student body president, actually, of our student council at Riverdale.
So is that an election process to become the student body, or is it a selection at the school? Did you have to actually run an election?
Well, usually it is an election, but I was appointed this year.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't think anyone was really like, I really want to be it, and they could have found someone, but I was appointed by the teachers instead. So.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I hear it's not really just a title for you. I hear you take it pretty seriously. Like you are in there doing your job, right?
Yes, I do enjoy it. It is what I like to do. So I try and get everyone's voice heard, and it's not just about like the dances and stuff, but it's what we want to change about our school.
How do you get, you said you get everyone's voice heard. How do you do that?
Well, I make sure that people know that it's okay to come to me if they want to change something, and I always do try my best, even if I try and make compromises if something can't be done, instead of just dropping it completely. But it is important to me that even the 6th graders who are new to the middle school, they still have their voices heard as much as us in 8th grade.
So what are some of the changes that you're talking about, some of the things that you wanted to do being student body president?
Well, I know at school right now it is hard for our lunch schedule because we have to stay with our classes, and I know it's one of the biggest things that especially 8th grade has always wanted, free seating, and to be treated a little older now since we're in 8th grade. And I do think that all of middle school at some point should be able to have free seating. It just is hard for everyone to be in the hallways at once, so I'm trying to make a compromise and slowly maybe get a few classes together so that way not everyone's in the hallways at once.
You know, that was one of the things that I wanted in the new wing, and I'm sorry that you're an 8th grader because you won't get to move into that. But one of the things that we're building is a multi-purpose room where you can actually eat cafeteria separate and have cafeteria time separate from the elementary school students. So they'll have their own schedule, they could have their own free seating, and so I'm excited about that multi-purpose space. But it sounds like you're being creative with your current cafeteria with what you're doing.
Are you meeting with administrators and telling them that pretty much passing what you hear from the students over to them? Do you meet with them regularly?
Yes, I do feel very comfortable going up to them and just talking to them. So yeah, I always go to their offices, and if I run by them in the hallways, you know, I say, hey, bring up some stuff that we're talking about in middle school.
Tell us about the school dance.
Well, we do have a winter dance this Friday, actually. It's our annual winter dance. It's the biggest dance of the year, usually. And I'm just making sure that people want to come to it, and we're huge on decorations. And so right now we're just kind of making sure everything's set to go for Friday.
Is there a theme, or how do they work your dances?
Every year we choose a winter kind of theme. So this year it's based off of the Nutcracker. We always make sure that it's not just like Christmas themed or something themed. So we have little Nutcrackers places, but it's mainly wintry themed.
Now, is it a formal dance, or do y'all get to wear casual clothes, or choose to?
It is semi-formal. So no like jeans or anything, but we're making sure that you don't have to be like super fancy, so you don't feel uncomfortable.
So y'all making T-shirts and decorating the gym? Is that what it's going to be?
Just yes, we're not doing T-shirts, but we do decorate the entire gym, try and cover all the basketball stuff, and yeah, make it very dance-like instead of the hoops.
Well, now, student body president is not the only way that you're involved in your school. You're also involved in the plays, is that right?
Yes, I have been in theater for a year now.
Oh, wow. Well, what was your first role?
My first role was last fall. I did the fall musical Into the Woods, and I was the narrator.
Now, did you have to wear a top hat? Was that you who was wearing?
Yeah, that was me.
And you would have to sit to the side.
I did look like Willy Wonka, sort of.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
What other plays have you been involved in?
Well, in California, I used to do a ton of plays, but here I did Into the Woods, and then a spring musical was Oklahoma. I was Ado Annie in that. And this year we just started to do Shrek, which we just got our parts yesterday night. So.
And what is your part?
I am Donkey from Shrek, so very comedic role.
That's got to be the most fun
yes,
role to play.
Straight up my alley.
Have you started pricing your lines yet?
No, actually, I don't have the script yet. But I mean, I have seen the show many times, and I'm very excited for it.
Now, in Shrek Jr., do you have to dress like a donkey, or what's going to be the attire that you will wear to be Donkey?
Oh yes, with our plays we go full out, so I will definitely be in some kind of donkey attire.
Very nice. Now, I think you have, what other interests you have besides those two? Yeah, it's a lot going on, but I think you do a lot more too, right?
So yeah, besides government and plays, I do like to do art too, and softball actually during some seasons.
Oh wow. You're very well rounded. What other things have you done with art?
Well, I've been in advanced art for 3 years of middle school, and like for the plays, we usually do a contest for making T-shirts. Actually, you were right, T-shirts. It was like, not for the dances, but for the plays.
Okay.
So I've actually won 2 of them. The last 2 that I've been in, I did a shirt and poster for Oklahoma, and I did a shirt for Into the Woods.
So you actually created the designs for
those?
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
So you can see my shirts, and on the back is my art.
So is that something you think you want to continue once you get up to high school, is taking art classes, or do you think you want to do more of the theater, or is it a both?
See, for me, I like both. I think that right now, I think during school I would like to continue with art and maybe have theater and acting be an extracurricular for me. But yeah, I've always loved art, so.
I think one of the exciting things about high school schedules is you can take whatever you want, and there are multiple opportunities to take electives.
Yes.
So we look forward to seeing what you do when you move on to high school.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here, Sophie.
Thank you so much.
After a short break, we will speak with Dogwood teacher Rachel Brocato and hear how her class is trying to solve a real-world problem.
You make me wear my bike helmet. You taught me never to run with scissors. And to follow the swimming rules.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Excellence, a monthly program where we showcase some of the amazing things happening in and around your Germantown schools. We would like to welcome to the show a 5th grade teacher from Dogwood Elementary, Rachel Brocato. Thank you for being here, Rachel.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. So tell us about your background. So how long have you been teaching?
I have been teaching currently this is my 5th school year. I came in halfway through the year in the 2012-2013 school year. And I have an undergrad in a different area. So I decided that wasn't for me. I'm going to go back to school to be a teacher. I got my master's in teaching and been doing that since then, since I graduated in 2011.
Excellent. And so you decided you wanted to be a teacher at some point. What really made you realize that teaching was your passion?
My undergrad was in marketing management, and I knew when I was working at First Tennessee that I was just sitting behind a desk and it wasn't for me. And so I decided my love for children, I really wanted to work with kids mostly, and I didn't want each day to be the same thing over and over. And so I got the best of both worlds. Nothing is ever the same.
That's right.
Everything always changes with the kids.
So how did you do your student teaching? Were you doing that while you were working at First Tennessee?
I did. I went to school at night while I was still working in marketing. And then when I had to do my student teaching, I had to quit my job and student teach during the day.
Oh, wow. Where did you student teach?
I student taught at Crosswind Elementary in 5th grade, and then also at St. Anne on Highland.
You teach 5th grade. Are y'all departmentalized? Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you teach?
So I teach 3 blocks of science and 1 block of social studies. Yeah.
So the 3 blocks of science, are there different classes, I guess, that are all rotating to you for science? So do you teach all of the 5th grade students at Dogwood Science, or is there another science teacher?
There is another science teacher, Tom Bozeman. So I teach 80 kids and he teaches about 80 kids.
So you see about half the kids in Dogwood will come through your science class.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was visiting the school a couple weeks ago, and the principal, Ms. Price, grabbed me and said, "You got to come see what's happening in Ms. Brocato's class." So I came in there and I saw it was pretty amazing. So tell us a little bit about the project you were working on.
So Ms. Price presented me with a problem, and that problem is that our cafeteria is too loud during lunch times. So she was like, would you like to take this on and have your kids help us figure this problem out? And I was like, yeah, this will make a really cool science experiment. So she lent me this digital sound level reader, and we used that as well as all the lunch times for the school, the entire school, and I sent kids down a few at a time to go collect data. So we basically walked through the scientific method, and they created a hypothesis as to why they thought it was too loud and what might help bring the noise level down in the cafeteria during lunch times. And so I'd send a few kids down at a time to go collect the data with the noise level reader, and then they would come back and report the results to our class. And I did this with my different science classes, and then they...
It's so neat. I'm sorry, I'm going to come back.
Sorry.
I'm just thinking that it's so neat that, you think administrators would try to solve that problem on their own, but then they get the students involved. It's like we try so much to get all of our stakeholders involved. It's kind of the same thing. You bring the people in that's in there. Do you remember what some of their hypotheses were, why it was so loud?
Some of them said that the lower level with the higher level kids, like the 1st and 2nd grade with the 4th and 5th grade combined, were the reasons why it was too loud. And then they had some really good suggestions as to what might lower the level of noise in the cafeteria as well. And so some of them said that playing music during lunchtime might help lower the level, so we're currently trying that right now. Some of them said that playing a TV show or a YouTube video or a movie during lunchtime might quiet them down. So we're going to go through all these different scenarios of their ideas and see what's working. So we're now in the process of going back in the cafeteria and taking the noise level of the cafeteria while music is playing. And I think we're going to find out that it's...
So in your experimental stage, you're actually getting in and seeing what's working. And how many different things have you tried? You said you tried music and TV.
No, we've tried music so far. So our next one, we're going to try a different idea after this one. We're going to finish this week out trying the music. So
That's
pretty neat. Right.
Well, tell us about other science lessons that are kind of your favorites. Is there a topic that you really like to teach? I taught biology, so whenever we were doing DNA, I was in my zone. I felt like that's where I felt comfortable. What about you? Is there a topic that you really enjoy teaching?
Well, right now we're into the planets right now. We're just finishing up the planets, and they're doing these really cool planet projects. So I'm digging that outer space. Honestly, it's really cool. So.
What other projects are you going for? Are you looking for? Like, this is one big project, so what'll be the next big thing?
We have Tom Bozeman and I, the other 5th grade science teacher. We've just submitted a proposal for a grant for a drone. So we would love to. We have some ideas. We're still working on some ideas where we can use the drone for different science experiments. Like when we do an outdoor classroom, just send the drone and kind of let it write programs and bring us back the data and stuff like that, and then film the kids doing their science experiments from like an aerial point of view. So, or send the drone around the school and go collect data from around the school with what we need for that science experiment. So we're pretty excited about it. We don't have an exact project in mind, but we've got some cool ideas in the works.
I know there's so much you can do with drones, and you know that's something that's really popular right now, and a lot of coding stuff is popular, what you can do with drones. Do you do a lot of STEM activities in your class?
We do during either science as well as during our RTI time. We work on some STEM activities and good team building activities. You know, one example may be I had the kids I gave them a certain number of note cards, and they worked to build a bridge that could hold X amount of pennies, or the highest tower that they could build. So kind of a team building and science approach, critical thinking involved with that. So.
Oh, that's exciting. Now, you also teach a section of social studies, you said?
I do.
What about social studies? Is there a social studies topic that you feel drawn to? And there's some, I know there's always some that are less favorite. What's your favorite social studies topic?
Right now we're working on the Civil War, and it's really neat to see the kids get excited with learning about the Civil War. So I would say that'd be my favorite right now. This is my first time teaching 5th grade social studies. So, but I'm loving going right in and doing what we're doing right now. It's really interesting.
Exciting.
Teaching's always something that you have to kind of change every year, but you kind of get comfortable after a few years. And you know, if you're teaching social studies for the first time, it's probably like being a new teacher again, but in that subject at least, right?
Right.
Well, I know that we are getting ready to start our budget process, and I know depending on how your grant grows, even if you don't win that grant, I think that's something that the technology department may want to look into, getting a drone, because it sounds like you've got a great plan for how your students can use it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Stay with us. When we return from our break, we will be discussing the site selection of the new elementary school with Chief of Operations Josh Cathey.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back. I am Superintendent Jason Manuel.
And I'm co-host Mason Grace. Joining us to give us an update on the site selection of the new elementary school is Chief of Operations Josh Cathey.
Thanks for being here, Josh.
Always a pleasure. I'm usually a once-a-year guy, so it's great to be back for a second time this year.
Well, you know, we're always working on improving facilities in Germantown. And I think one of the challenges that we had at the very beginning of our district was we had a lot of needs. How would you address those needs at the very beginning? What do you think were our priorities when we started the district?
Well, in terms of growth, we knew we were going to have issues from the start. We knew we were taking 8 schools and we were consolidating them into 5 schools. Now, we didn't know how quickly that would happen, but it happened rather quickly. We had our 22 portables at Riverdale, and we knew we needed to fix that problem. And we also had our 10-year growth projections, which we've reached in 3 years. So we've had that explosive growth. The city, our school board, everyone's known that we needed to replace the portables. We didn't know how quickly we were going to need a new elementary school, but it's become pretty evident pretty quickly.
And so think about that. Like, I know there's no magic way to predict what the enrollment's going to be, and you said we passed our 10-year projections. What are you looking at when you're looking at projections? Like, what are you looking at to see how the city's going to grow?
And this is one of those challenges I think that we have for our district. We do have a planner that works with us with shared services, and they look at some key things, and this is common with districts across the country. One of the things that they look at is they look at your birth rates. It's called the cohort survival ratio. They look at how many kids are born in an area, how many kids are going to matriculate up into the school, and from grade to grade, how many stay attending those schools. So they use that CSR, cohort survival ratio.
Okay.
The other one they look at is more in your ballpark, that's build out.
That's build out, and the city was really helpful in providing data on how much build out is left. In Germantown, it's not a lot because we're landlocked and there's only a limited amount of space left to build out into. But we got that data from the city, so that's another factor that's considered.
And then for us too, we also look at just within our district, where are students populated and how are they attending the schools. So it's geocoding. They actually put a dot on a map on a house for each one of the students in the district, and they can look and see population trends for the district. The challenge for us is our growth does not fit that model. We are growing because Germantown is changing. We have older families, empty nesters that are moving out, and we have young families that are moving in with children, and that's where we're seeing some of that transition. And then two, we have private school and homeschool parents that are deciding to come back because of how exceptional our schools are. And so I think the challenge for us is how do we find a planner who can predict when those empty nesters are going to sell their house? Or you know, how quickly private school families are going to decide to come to our district. It's a challenge. Sure. But we're trying to do it, aren't we, Josh?
We are, and in the meantime, one of my capital projects this past summer was putting 6 modular classrooms behind Dogwood and 6 modular classrooms behind Farmington. So I think everybody's on one accord that we're in need of a new school.
And so right now we know 500 students over at all of our elementary school levels. We could build a school right now and fill it with 500 additional students. But that's not why we're here, what we're here to talk about. We've talked about the need. I think the real focus is how are we going to choose this site, Josh?
Well, you asked an interesting question. We've put together a site selection site analysis committee, and that site analysis committee is comprised of experts from all walks of life across the city with all different types of professional expertise. We have engineers, architects, we have a real estate attorney, we have all, with the Deputy Chief of Police, all different experts who are viewing this with a different lens and helping us rank criteria. The board has set those criteria. They set those at a work session recently. That gives us some guidance when we go back into committee on how to rank these properties that we've identified. The board really ranked at the top of the list as safety and location. And then there were some other things down the list like topography, soils, cost, public acceptance as a board-only thing to look at. So now that the board has ranked their criteria and given the committee guidance on what's most important to them as our decision makers, now we can go back into committee, really look at these properties and rank them and score them according to those criteria.
And what are some of the criteria that we're looking for this site?
Well, the main ones, the big top 2 are safety and location. But we have experts like Tim Gwaltney, our city engineer. He's going to help us look at availability of utilities. And we have A2H, who's our architecture, engineering, and planning firm, who's going to help us do site analysis so we can look at soils, we can look at drainage, we can look at potential issues with site, we can look at circulation plan, and try to put together an opinion of probable cost so we at least know roughly what we're working with from a cost standpoint on the site work that needs to be done on each of these sites.
Because if you find a great site and all of a sudden there's a big creek going through it, that's going to increase your development cost.
Absolutely, yes. So that's where we lean on the experts at A2H along with the city engineer, and that's really going to be the strength of this committee, I think, is being able to identify those type of factors.
And I think, too, we have the challenge of, we've been through a build. We're not done yet. We're working with it at Riverdale, replacing those portables.
Yes, we want the temperature to stay above 40 for the next month as much as possible.
And I think the challenge for us that we've realized is there's no such thing as good soil and perfect soil, perfect conditions to build a school. What are some of the things that we've experienced at Riverdale that you think we need to, what are the lessons learned as we move forward going to this new school site?
Well, there's a couple of lessons I've learned on Riverdale, and they're lessons that I somewhat knew but have been reinforced as we've gone through the construction process. Keep the bid package as tight as possible so you have as few change orders as possible. Coordination of all of the different subcontractors. We have a great contractor we're working with now, but material orders is always a challenge, especially if there's a custom product you selected. So I've learned that if you're going to select a custom product, be sure to get on it and make sure there's plenty of lead time so that those materials get there and they don't hold up the next subcontractor who's got to come behind and do their work. And the big one from Riverdale, I think, that we've taken away from this is we now have that experience level where we have literally designed a building from scratch. And when we take that with us into the next build, we'll have that much knowledge and wealth of experience when we go into the next one.
And I know there's not a lot of properties there in the city. So what are like the dimensions? Like you're looking for a certain thing. So what are you looking for in a property?
We are. One of the things the committee identified was a minimum of 13 acres for the site. But there are other things like the size to shape ratio. You don't want a site that's too long, so the 2-to-1 on length to width a ratio. If the site if it's a good 20 or 30 acres, but it's so skinny that it stretches forever, that's not good for a school site. So those are some of the criteria that we're looking at from the operations standpoint.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see how we're going to continue the Germantown brand, continue the great things that we've done at Riverdale and apply it to this new school site and new school development. It's going to be exceptional.
And those are some of the things that we learned along in this process too. You know, some of the things that are going to be special about Riverdale that we can continue are a lot of exterior glass, natural light in classrooms, 21st century furniture, increased electrical capacity, increased technological capacity so we can wire for one-to-one from the beginning. Those are all things that we implemented in the process with Riverdale. Coordinating things of that nature will be even stronger this next time around.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Josh. Very good. Well, that's all we have time for in this episode. If you'd like more information about this or any other show on Germantown Municipal Television, visit us on our website at www.gmtvonline.org. Until next time, this has been Superintendent Jason Manuel for this month's installment of the Germantown Municipal School District's Spotlight on Excellence.